Ladies and gentlemen, we are in San Sebastian, in the Basque country, one of the most picturesque cities in Spain. A modern metro line is being built here. We're on site with Wyspa TV at the invitation of ETS director Valentín Gómez to take a close look at one of the most ambitious infrastructure investments in the region. This is not only the construction of a tunnel, it's a project that brings together innovation, sustainability, and a new quality of life for residents. And we want to show you what it looks like from the inside. Welcome. The new section is 2,200 meters long and includes 3 stations. At the same time, it replaces another existing section of about 2 kilometers. A surface-level station disappears, so we can recover land currently occupied by railway tracks and give it back to the public to create green areas and housing. Here you already have the finished track slab, right? So everything's done, the concrete is in. This is the finishing slab. Yes, this is direct access from the street. There. Wait, stand here. Look, you can see it here. It's up there. Ah, yes, I see it. Okay. That's one access. This one is from the Hotel de Londres. It's called Canyon Suli, and there are 2 entrances there. We'll get closer so I can show you the access points. And here, there will only be staircases and a lift. So, as I said, from the higher level, there will be access to these stations. What they're using here, I don't know the exact term, there's a carriage which will later shape the tunnel form, so the floor finishing can be completed. The technology we've used is a mining technique applied to civil works, based on a road header. You can see it in the photo over there. This machine weighs approximately 140 tons. It mills the rock. As it mills, the material is removed to the outside, and we advance along the tunnel face. When the rock is very millable, according to our parameters, we can advance up to 100 meters per month. We excavate in 2 phases, an initial heading, advance, and then a benching phase. That is essentially the technology. So, first there's the rock. Next comes the shotcrete to stiffen and support what they have excavated. Then comes the waterproofing. And now they're placing the reinforcement. The first challenge was carrying out a purely urban project. In the urban area, the buildings are from the beginning of the last century, so their foundations aren't necessarily anchored to bedrock. We also had to excavate the tunnel in an urban environment, very close to the sea, with a very high water table above us and about 20 meters of quaternary sands. Each carriage has its own geometry, so these are responsible for these parts. And the machine that bored the tunnel, it's not here anymore, right? No, it's not. It's gone. And what happens to such a machine afterwards? It's sent to another construction site. And is that machine? It's rented directly to the company. When the company finishes its work, it goes somewhere else. So it's not a single-use machine that gets discarded somewhere. It's used again. This is Loyola. This section connects directly with the very center of the city. And this is San Bartolomé, another connection from the other side to the city center. So there are 3, San Bartolomé, Loyola, and Sulili. Obviously, the metro represents a philosophy of new mobility. and a form of development for the city that will have a significant impact over time. First, it's about removing cars from the surface and giving people much greater mobility than they currently have. Clearly, the metro is not only for the city of San Sebastián itself. It's for what we could call Greater San Sebastián, because its sphere of influence is much broader than just the city alone. We could also say that from Zarautz and Zumaya to Irún, that entire area will benefit from increased service frequencies. The goal is also to decarbonize environmental issues and implement transport that is more sustainable than cars. Additionally, on the surface level, this has been something of an experiment for the San Sebastián City Council, and many areas that previously had car traffic will in the future become completely pedestrianized, giving more priority to pedestrians and taking cars out of the city. Here, the technical installations will all be on the opposite side, right? The cuartos técnicos, technical rooms, will go here. The perro de estímido, the carriage. Later, as each section is finished, they'll load the materials into containers in phases. This is the last stage. We faced some major challenges. In some zones we had sandy ground across the section, so we had to use jet grouting to improve the soil. In other areas, the geology we encountered had karstified zones with totally chaotic conduits, impossible to detect. We also had to carry out a series of injections to improve the ground and ensure safe excavation. Perhaps the most critical moment of the project occurred in June 2020, when the tunnel broke just beneath La Concha beach, allowing water and sand to enter. Perhaps the most critical moment of the project was in June 2020. When we had a break in the tunnel right under La Concha beach, and water mixed with sand started coming in. That moment was truly critical, and we had to take a series of drastic measures to stop the inflow of water and sand. On the surface, it also had repercussions, because the Hotel de Londres and 2 buildings had to be evacuated. It was a very critical time, and a very tough personal experience to live through. But, well, thank God we were able to overcome it technically. There were no casualties of any kind, only material damage, and so it remains as an anecdote and a memory. You can continue walking here with them, and I'll circle with the car. We'll accompany you up to... During the execution phase, at the peak of the project, we had around 100 people working on one section, and I believe about 60 more on the other, plus all the people working off-site, away from the construction front itself. So we could say that around 250 to 300 people involved from start to finish. This is Concha Station. As you can see, much of the reinforcement work here is still pending, though installation has already begun further along. This is where the lift will be located. We're currently at the level where the train will pass, but there's still a lot to be done. Slightly higher up will be the main station level, and at the very top there will be a skylight. Passengers entering from the street will first arrive at a mezzanine level, which also connects to another entrance. From this mezzanine they will take the lift down to the platform. From the very beginning, before starting to excavate, the first thing we did was analyze all the buildings at the surface, with a notarial record of their condition. After that, we installed numerous monitoring devices on those buildings, so we would know at all times what was happening at the surface relative to the operations inside the tunnel. We even used satellites to see how buildings were moving. For tunnel safety, both the contractors and the client's technical assistance teams constantly monitored how the work was being carried out and under what conditions within the tunnel. We can say, thankfully, that since work began in 2017, we have had no serious accidents. As for vibrations, we've had teams monitoring noise and vibrations in all the buildings around the site. From an archaeological standpoint, at one point we found remains of the old walls of San Sebastián. The project always had an archaeologist collaborating with us, and a survey was done to inventory any remains found. There's another element in my office that we also found. It looked like a Romanesque capital, but in fact, it's modern. Regarding unexpected situations, I think I've already mentioned the collapse of the tunnel sidewall we had in 2020. Here are the pipes, and this is flush with the street, right? So nothing sticks up above street level. On the street there's... Aha, I understand. Like a manhole, right? The method used to build these shafts is called raise boring in English. We open a gallery here, then we drill from the top down. Then we set an element with a diameter of 3.6 meters that goes upward as it rotates, scarifying the rock, which falls here. Then we muck it out and complete the shaft, which is usually 40 to 50 meters deep. Once excavated, we line it and end up with a shaft of 3 meters in diameter. A normal day, work inside a tunnel is like a factory. There are very clear procedures: excavation, mucking, support, and they are very repetitive. So the excavation work is very factory-like. There's no time to get bored, and there are no surprises unless something special happens. Safety standards, like in all underground work, are very stringent, so that all workers feel safe at all times. Tunnel excavation is always done 24 hours a day in 3 well-coordinated shifts. The aim is that in each shift you complete a round, or if it's finished, leave the face supported, so the next shift finds it in proper condition. From a safety point of view, we constantly deliver fresh air to the face with large fans and a duct that reaches the front, so the crew always has fresh air. In addition to this collective measure, there are individual PPE measures. Everyone wears masks depending on the task. The machine sprays the face while excavating to minimize dust. In short, all necessary measures have been implemented to guarantee the workers' safety at the face. We're still missing all the installations, lighting, all the panels, the information signs indicating directions, the whole station environment. Looking to the future, what are the next steps? Can we speak of a new era for transport across the entire Basque country? Absolutely. Not only because of these works, which are more local, mainly influencing Gipuzkoa, but as a future project for the Basque country, we have the Basque-Y high-speed network. When it's finished and connected to France and to the south with the lines toward Madrid and Lisbon, what the EU calls the Atlantic Corridor, It will facilitate mobility for everyone living in or coming to the Basque country from across Europe or anywhere with a high-speed rail network. Here is the office. From the office we drive into the tunnel. We drove this way, about 500 meters. We're in the middle of the section. In this direction, everything is already complete. Finished construction, though not yet open to the public. And we drove this way. Here, under the beach, La Concha Beach. And we left the car here. We walked from here. We saw the large station and the entrances. There are 3 entrances. 3 entrances. Here's one. From the Hotel de Londres. This one is from the cathedral. And here is San Bartolomé. Then we walked further on foot. This section up to this station, which is also already finished. Here is the station. So this is the section we walked and drove through, right? Yes, that's right. To people in Poland, I would extend an invitation to visit the Basque country to get to know us, our culture, language, gastronomy, to discover our little country's landscapes, beaches and mountains. I know Poles love the mountains. We do too.
Paisajístico, con playa, con montaña. Sé que los polacos son muy amigos de la montaña y aquí también somos muy amigos de la montaña.
In terms of quality of life and public investment, I think it's important. It creates jobs, creates wealth, and ultimately generates well-being for society. That's the purpose of public investment. During the metro excavation, we found that object over there. An archaeological study determined it had no historical value. It was simply part of a balustrade from a building. When the building was demolished, it was thrown into the rubble, and that's where we found it. We also found a cannonball from the Napoleonic Wars. When we located it, the police had to come to see if it needed to be deactivated. The Edsainsa artillery unit took it away, and later it was confirmed to be just a ball with no charge. An old solid steel cannonball used with muzzle-loading cannons. Those were the only finds. Besides the old city walls that we identified and inventoried, the walls of historic San Sebastián. Thanks to the official invitation from ETS, we had a unique opportunity not only to speak with those responsible for building the new metro line in San Sebastián, but also to go underground and see places normally accessible only to technical staff. What we saw was not just concrete, steel and machines, but above all a great vision of the future in which urban transport is modern, ecological and fully integrated with residents' needs. For Wyspa TV, it's an honor to show you this investment from such close range and such a unique perspective.
Wyspa TV is a multicultural television from Great Britain. It is reported from many regions, debates with exciting people, talks with experts and many other programs. Wyspa TV. Welcome.